What's up everyone, and today I'm gonna make a response videos to TDT's video, an embarrassing time to be in the Destiny 2 communities video. There's some points to be made here, so let's just get into the first one. Over here.
Update as a whole. First of all, my biggest concern is with the difficulty. Loot in and of itself isn't enough of an incentive anymore to drive players to actually engage with the game.
Okay, so you heard that. This one is a perfect one. He's saying that loot doesn't matter. We only want difficulty. Which is honestly ridiculous to say. Like, that statement, to come out and say that literally every single Destiny 2 player only plays the game for the challenge. We don't care about the loot. Now keep in mind, this is a looter shooter game. The thing is in the name, looter shooter. Looter shooter is also supposed to be really grindy, which a lot of free-to-play gamers didn't know, so they complain about how grindy the game is, even though that's the whole point of it. So for him to come in and say that we don't care about the loot in a looter shooter, Also, this is just completely false, because if we truly didn't care about the loot, would we grind final boss of both dungeons and raids for the exotic? Would we grind, for example, Nightfalls for a specific weapon? Would we grind, I don't know, trials for a specific weapon? You know, would we grind anything for a specific thing? For example, like Master Dungeons as well for Artifice Armor, would we do that? Would we grind the Lost Sectors for the exotic? I mean, why would we grind all of these things for the loot if the loot didn't matter? If we were all playing for the challenge, surely we wouldn't want to grind for the best of the best things. We would use the worst one, the opposite ones, because that would definitely introduce a challenge if we're using the weakest stuff. So this whole statement that people don't care about the loot and we only care about challenges doesn't make sense. But there's more to this we only want a challenge thing, as you will see.
Difficulty and the actual accomplishment, the intrinsic motivation to play this activity has to be there. I would love this to be something where if you go onto the harder difficulty mode, there's two modes, there's the normal mode and there's the harder difficulty mode, of which waves continue to get harder and harder up until 50 where it caps out. I would love to have getting and accomplishing a 50 wave difficulty on the harder mode to be a serious accomplishment, save for the best of the best, like your Dados, your Sweatsticles, your Salted Greppos, etc.
Heard that? He wants the hard mode, and specifically to complete hard mode, to be only doable to people who are literally looking straight into the game, looking at all the files, looking at all the stats of every single armor, weapons, looking into all the builds, and also making these builds. He wants these people, who is also making guides on how to make the game content easier. He wants them to only be able to complete hard mode, meaning everyone else should not do hard mode. You're nothing to him, apparently. So, like, he's basically spitting on you. Like, you're nothing, you're dirt to me. Because you're not a YouTuber, get the fuck out of here. Hard mode is for us. Use it to baby mode whilst we do hard mode. I want hard mode to be only doable with these YouTubers, but there's nothing like... I wish this new mode was really cool, really fun and all, so I can play with maybe you guys, do some streams with you guys, even try the hard modes. Like, there's nothing about you guys. It's like, no, fuck all of you. Only YouTubers is just gonna be able to make this one. Everyone else, F off. Why are you acting like this? Like, yeah, you have some subscribers, but that doesn't mean anything. It's like so many people, when they reach a certain subscriber limit, they get this massive ego. Why would you want to lock out hard mode to only like just a handful of people? Why would you even want that? Why would you even say that? That doesn't make any sense. So rewinding a bit to where, you know...
First of all, my biggest concern is with the difficulty. Loot in and of itself isn't enough of an incentive anymore to drive players to actually engage with the game. The difficulty and the actual accomplishment, the intrinsic motivation to play this activity has to be there.
You're saying that we want this challenge, that's what's driving us to actually play the game. That's motivating us to do it, everything. We're going to achieve this sort of pride and, you know, accomplishment and all of that when we complete it. But then you go and say that hard mode and up towards 50 should only be doable by some YouTubers. Like, how does that make sense? That doesn't make sense at all. How then we're stuck on easy mode, and that's not gonna be a challenge then. So what is it? Is people only playing for the challenge, or is people only playing for the loot? Saying that people want the challenge and then saying that the only ones who's supposed to be able to play the harder mode is used YouTubers who's been, you know, looking into everything, as I said, who's also creating all these builds and stuff like that. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever say that? It's honestly stupid. No, hard mode should be accessible to anyone. Reaching 50 on hard mode should be an accomplishment that everyone should be able to feel, not just you YouTubers, so you have some content to put up. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, moving on to...
As a, wow, this is great. This is exactly what we've been asking for. We've been asking for a hard mode for years, and we've got it with a free update, nonetheless. An update that we didn't need to spend a dime on. But instead, the community's response was, ew, Midtown, a reused, reissued map with some mild changes? That's gross. I hate this.
First of all, that's a valid complaint. Game mode could be fun, yes, but the thing is why people hate or complain about, I wouldn't say hate, but complain about it being on a PvP map, a reused map, is because Bungie does that so often. Like so often it's not even funny. Here's the thing, if you're gonna be on a map you played, you're gonna have that feeling like, I've been here before, I've done this before. You're always gonna have that familiarity around you. Meaning that that's gonna distract you and bring down towards like the actual content itself, the activity. The activity might be fun as hell, it might be really good, but since you're surrounded by a map you've been at before multiple times, you're just gonna think of that and it's gonna bring it down. It wouldn't have been hard for them to have made a totally different map, like a map specific for this game mode. And that would have been even better if it was specifically made for it. They could have dictated the challenges for it, there could have been more stuff to it. You could have had to try to figure out different strats on where to put certain traps, defenses, and all of that. But no, they chose a PvP map with super small changes. Like a gate is open or there's a hole in this roof, like, ooh, crazy. I don't care if it's free or not. They could have easily made a whole new map. There is games out there or developers out there who's literally releasing DLCs for free. Whole DLCs that would otherwise usually cost money, they're just doing it for free. So why should Bungie get a pass on this? That doesn't make any sense. Bungie should not get a pass because they're Bungie, okay? You always, like, it doesn't matter who it is. You can love a developer, you can love a company and all, but you shouldn't be blind. You shouldn't turn a blind eye towards them or defend them for no reason. This is how you get to these stages where they're just gonna do whatever, and because everyone is like defending them, they're just gonna do reusing contents, mediocre ones, really bad, like buggy ones, and all of that. They're just gonna do that because, well, they know people are gonna defend them. So why would they? Why wouldn't they, I should say? So yeah, moving further ahead.
Do you guys know how development works? Do you guys know how profits work? Their bare minimum for requirement whenever we get an update is to keep the game running, keep it balanced, and generally make sure that things are running smoothly. Anything...
Okay, well, I have to point that out. Do you know how development works? Do you know how economy works? You know all that, how profit works? Those are kind of different ones. Yes, this is way more profitable for them because it's cheaper. They don't have to spend more time on a new map. That does not excuse the fact that they're reusing something. Not only about balance. Where's the balance in this game? And even if it's mid-season, who cares? Also, this is not really mid-season, is it? It's towards the end of this season. This statement doesn't make any sense either because they don't always give something like this every season. No, nowhere near. They don't do that.
Anything that comes outside of that is just the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. We pay for the burger, and anything that comes extra is just the fries and the drink. We got the fries and the drink for free, and yet somehow we're still upset at this.
We're not upset that it's free. We're upset that Bungie keeps on reusing their maps or old content. So imagine this, and I feel like you can agree with this. I feel like everyone could agree with this. I mean, it's obviously your opinion, but imagine this. Imagine if Bungie spent more time on it, making multiple original maps for it that was just specifically, designed for this game mode, and then released it with the next DLC. Imagine that being one of the launch activity, not the seasonal or episodal content, just in that DLC. Imagine that, and that they have spent more time with it, everything original about it. Imagine how cool it would be. Imagine that, imagine how excited you must be for it. It could be a decider to why people would maybe buy the DLC or so. Not only that, but if they have more time with it, they're gonna make sure it's polished. It's not gonna be buggy, without any issues of any traps not working, enemies teleporting, game crashing, whatever. You know how it usually is with this game. In my opinion, I feel like they should have done that over bomb rushing this activity, throw it on a PvP map, and then called it a day. You see what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't they work? Even if for money, like, it's in the DLC, so they're gonna make some back. But not only that, but if they show that they care about this game, then more people are willing to, stay on the game, spend more money on the game. If you're just gonna bomb rush it, as I said, and you just released it in a really buggy state, unfinished stages, boring state, whatever, it's gonna drive people off. I don't know how many times anyone is gonna play this activity. They might try once or twice and then just never touch it again. And that's just a massive missed opportunity. Just thrown into the toilet basically. Because they just want to release things as quickly as possible instead of making sure it actually works, it's actually funny, and that it actually is, the best it could be. So that, I think, is at least what I'm feeling about it, but I feel like other people are probably also feeling about it. Or at the very least, they wanted an original map of it. They're not, there might be some people complaining about the activity itself, but I feel like most probably are complaining that it's, on a PvP map, on a reused map instead of its own map. So yeah, I feel like that's the direction they should have gone, and also probably what some people might be feeling about this whole activity itself. Even if it's free, we still should have an opinion about it and should still be free to, voice our opinions. So yeah, I feel like since it is free, you would be way more willing to make it good, like even more so than if, you're gonna sell it. Sure, if you're gonna sell it, of course, it needs to be good too, but especially if you're gonna spend money on making something you won't make a return on, I feel like you would be even more incentivized to actually make sure that the game mode or whatever you're making is good enough for people to keep on coming back, to stay, or recommend it to other people, because otherwise it's a waste of money. Sure, it's gonna cost a little bit more to make it better, but it's gonna be even more of a waste if you make it bad than if you spend more money on it to make it good. So I feel like they should have more of a priority to make sure it's good, because they're not gonna make any money back on it, rather than just throw something at the wall and see what sticks basically, because that's not gonna help them at all. That's not gonna bring them in any money whatsoever. So I feel like it's way more of an incentive to actually make it good if it's free. But that's just me, I guess.
Gonna move on to the more interesting part.
Why? Why? This doesn't detract anything from the core gameplay experience that you've come to know and love or hate of Destiny 2. Now, to be honest, to Bungie's overall development, this isn't going to move the needle for anybody who generally hates on the game already. Obviously, if you didn't like Destiny already and you weren't super excited for the final shape, this might not be the thing that brings you back. But that's not the point.
Alright, so isn't that an issue though? That it doesn't change anything? I feel like a new content should bring some sort of changes, especially like a whole new game mode. And as I said before, with the free stuff, wouldn't you want to make sure it's actually good? And here's a perfect time to try to keep your current players, and maybe even to try to get back some old players who left because there was basically nothing to do, like a content drought, or the constant reuse of content over and over again, the similar activities, no meaningful rewards. I feel like this is over than just like, let's just throw out something quickly before the next season starts or before the next DLC drops, just so they have something to do. It just kind of doesn't make sense. Like, if you're only gonna add something for us to have something to do for an X period of time, then you're doing something wrong, because then you're also saying like, yeah, this is a pile of garbage, but at least it's just there. It's a filler for the next thing. Then why would we care?
Either way.
We would like to have seen something that was more original and fresh, but for something that's a free update, that is a update that we've been asking for a new game mode, this which could be on the level of a core game mode similar to Strikes, Gambit, or Crucible.
Okay, it might become the next core activity, but what does that really mean? The current one we have is Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. what do they do for the game? Yes, Crucible is being played a lot because it's the PvP. Gambit, you hear nothing but hate towards it. And in my opinion, the thing I hate about Gambit is the invasion part. They handled it super poorly, and also that there's only 3 maps. We haven't seen a new map in, well, ages. Also, strikes, it's kind of meh. I mean, it can be chill, I guess, sometimes, but it's nothing really like some people go and grind because it doesn't really have anything. You wouldn't sit and spend like an entire day just playing strikes. So again, like, who cares if it's going to be a core activity? The problem with the core activity is that their drop rate for their specific item is insanely low and bad. That most of the time you're just going to get enhancement cores, seasonal engrams, or a world drop weapon. So if this is going to be a core one, it's kind of bad if it also gets the same treatment with its drop. But then again, also, if it is a core activity, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything for the game.
Yes, the reused content could have been better, but
Reused content could have been better. First of all, what does that mean? The reused content could have been better, like more edited version of this map, or not being reused whatsoever? Right. But then it wouldn't be reused. So I'm not entirely sure what he means here. Either him mentioning again like how he doesn't like that it's reused and it should have been completely different, or they should have modified this map even more to where it's technically a new map. It's like 1.5 version of this map, which semi makes it more original and new. So here's his statement that made me actually want to make this video in the first place. Just listen to it.
do we even have the ability to complain about something when it's free? No.
Yeah, of course we can. Why would you ever say that? Of course we can criticize or complain about things that are free. Take every single free-to-play games out there. Criticism is kind of crucial in order for them to make the game much better, to where it can actually be a good game. They can get in more players, make more money. Without criticisms or complaints, which, I mean, they can kind of be the same, nothing would be like ever done, nothing would improve. So I'm not entirely sure why he claims that because it's free, you can't criticize it or complain about it. That doesn't make any sense. Having this mindset is actually bad for games, because if they just release something, then if we don't say anything about it, they're gonna think, well, it's good, they don't care about it, and they're just gonna keep on doing it until the game is completely ruined. And then what? You see what I'm saying? Like, if we don't voice our complaints before it's even out, like we see it just like this, basically preview, then we're screwed. Now, if they wanted to listen to us and they wanted to make changes, they could easily swap this map out. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.